Welcome to Keep It Clean for Happier You. I'm your host, Nikki Tamboulidis. Thank you for joining the conversation on how you and I can make a positive impact on our environment at home and at a global scale. Yes, we can. Here is how. Thanks, everyone, for joining us, and many thanks to our guests. I'm your host, Nikki. What are we talking about? Our topic, how to save money and reduce waste. Cheryl Baldwin and Rachel Schnabel. Welcome and thank you for being here. You know, you ladies are here on a Saturday, on your day off, to help all of us, educate us, teach us how to do what we need to be doing all along. And I have a question. So often we want to know what is the benefit. In your frank opinion, what is the benefit? Because a lot of people are like, is somebody going to pay me to recycle? I'm like, no, it's something that you have to do as a citizen, as being a good citizen. A lot of people want to know what's their direct benefit because we're more like satisfaction immediately. We want to know what is in for me if I do this, because to them it's inconvenience.
I'll go first.
Rachel?
So when it comes to things like repairing things rather than throwing it away and getting something new,
you save money too.
Yeah, you can save money. In other cases, if you donate things that are still in good condition, you're getting that good feeling knowing that you are helping somebody else out. You can even sell items that you don't want anymore.
eBay,
and you can make money that way instead of just throwing it away. But yes, it at the end of the day, creating less waste is helping the environment. And why do we care about the environment? Because we are part of this environment. We need this environment. If we completely destroyed the environment, then all the resources that we rely on would be gone.
Cheryl?
I think I'd take a larger stance by saying ultimately recycling is about resource conservation. We buy a lot of products. We use a lot of products. Where do you think those raw materials come from? They not only come from resources in Connecticut, in the United States, in North America, but we get raw materials from all over the world to give us everything from our cell phones to our clothing. And when you think of the resources that are used to create our materials, it's not just mining, it's not just water, it's not just energy, it's people's labor too. And so we have to look at it from a large systems perspective, that we are wasting all that time, energy, and resources if we don't recycle. And so the concept of recycling is to try to maximize the efficiency of a system in which we are part of. And ultimately, it does protect the environment. If we can reduce our waste, as Rachel was saying, it means less stuff going into landfills and incinerators. And I live in New Haven. Do you know where my trash goes? My trash comes here in Bridgeport.
Nice. I live in Bridgeport.
Sorry about that, Nikki. I'm trying my best.
Thank you, Cheryl. Now, can you talk to us about unit-based pricing for trash, and does it help with recycling?
All right.
The definition.
So unit-based pricing is sort of a weird term. It's basically when you pay, you're paying for a unit of something. But if we look at it in terms of trash, the best example is to look at our utilities. It's where trash is treated like a utility. When you're a homeowner, you have to pay for water, and you pay a certain amount of money per cubic foot of water. If you are a renter, you probably pay for utilities like gas or electric. And every time you pay for a unit of electricity or a unit of gas, you have to pay for it. You use it, you pay. Well, in the way of looking at unit-based pricing for trash is you have to pay for every sort of 30-gallon bag, if you will, of trash. Currently, most of our towns, we do not see the cost of trash disposal. It is hidden in our taxes. And so while we get the service of trash, whether it be curbside pickup or at our transfer station where it pays for people to help us out, we don't see the true cost of trash. And so unit-based pricing takes a moment and says, we want people to get the true, see the true value,
yes,
see the true cost, yes. Because what does that do? That creates an incentive.
Incentive, absolutely.
That's right. So when we have a really high gas bill, we might say, who's been cranking the heat? Or when we see the water bill, we're like, you need to stop taking 30-minute showers. And so all of that is connected. Trash is the same way. So unit-based pricing is a great way of trying to create incentives for us to do better. What happens is not only do we reduce the amount of trash we generate, as a result, it also means people are looking at recycling guidelines, people are looking at food scraps recycling or food scraps composting, they're looking at responsible donation, repair, etc. So ultimately, if we all took an approach from the municipal level of unit-based pricing, we'd be doing really well. And I'd be sending a lot less trash to you, Nikki.
Thanks, Cheryl, for the favor. No, but I never knew that. I never knew that you actually, it's built within, which makes sense.
Yeah, so I lived in Michigan for a while, and I didn't really understand what it was before then. But we bought a house, and we were like, how do we do trash? You know, like when you move to a new town, you're like, how do I do this? And they're like, oh, you have to buy bags at the grocery store. And I was like, I don't understand. And they're like, yeah, we have special bags. They were lime green, and they said City of Lansing. And it was $2 for a roll of 5 bags. I think that's what it was. Oh, no, $2 a bag. So it was probably a roll, and it was $10. And so $2 a week is a lot for me at that point. Well,
yes.
And so what do? You maximize. You're like, I'm gonna make this bag last for 2 weeks. So you take out your food scraps. It doesn't stink. You compost. You recycle as best you can, and you reuse and donate responsibly.
So that's the motivation of doing less. So, no, I like the unit-based pricing because this way I would realize that what Cheryl brought it home when she said, well, who's taking all those long showers? No, I mean, I hate to bring back Greece, but it's true that in Greece, you turn the water heater on when you want to take a shower. It's not on constantly as we have it here to conserve.
Yeah. Because
the country doesn't have a lot of resources. So the cars are dusty if it doesn't rain. You know, there's conserved water. It's a lot going on in Greece because, people, when they have a jar, they reuse it for something else. So they don't buy like Tupperware. Sorry, Tupperware. I mean, they're great, but they are reusing the container the jar that, they had jam and they make their own something else in it. So, Cheryl, you brought it home when you said, who takes all this long showers? Because this way you're paying for it. And is the next question I have about the units pricing, is it happening now or no?
We have a couple of towns that have been doing it for quite some time. Stonington is really a great model and a great example. And there's a few towns that are looking into it. It doesn't seem to be as popular in Connecticut as it is in other states, which I don't quite understand. Maybe it's the Yankee mentality. I don't know. But in my home state of Massachusetts...
Ask me in Bridgeport when I get your stuff.
In my home state of Massachusetts, I think, I don't know if it's half, but it's easily a third of the towns are doing unit-based pricing. And they, all the New England states have issues. We're small states, and we have very limited space. We not only have landfills that have already closed, so we just don't landfill here. As we, Rachel, her town is sending it out of state.
Yeah.
And that's not a good thing to do. And so we also don't really have the capacity to open up new facilities. And so if people don't want an incinerator in their backyard, we need to do better. And unit-based pricing can help us get there.
I think it motivates you to do so. Another question for both Cheryl and Rachel, what can you and I do at home to help with the waste problem today? Specifically, solutions. Rachel, you want to go first?
Sure. So
we had Cheryl here talk nonstop.
We're
pushing Rachel's all the questions to Rachel, to Cheryl. So Rachel, it's you.
Absolutely. So, when you're making your purchases, think, do I really need this? Is this something I can borrow? Is this something I can rent? When something breaks, is this something that can be repaired? When you don't want something anymore, is this something that you can sell or donate? When you're buying items, can you buy them used? And, at the end of the day, just try to do the best that you can with recycling. And if you're able to, separate out your food waste, either through your municipal program or backyard composting.
Cheryl?
I think when people ask me that question of what's one thing I could do, I usually start with saying, what is a single-use item that you use that could be instead something durable and reusable? Sometimes it starts in our kitchens. Instead of buying paper towels, maybe you buy a lot of hand cloths and just wash them. Another thing might be, I know this is what I do, when you're having a large gathering, maybe a cookout this summer, and it is very easy to do paper plates and plastic utensils, etc., but it creates a lot of trash. And so I have something called a party pack, where I don't use it all the time. It certainly would not fit into my kitchen, but I went to Goodwill and I bought a bunch of dishes and I bought a bunch of reusable utensils. And so those 3 times a year that I have a lot of people over, I can reuse them all. Does that mean I wash them? Yes, but I usually put people who came to the party to work because everybody always loves hanging out in the kitchen. So you're like, okay, you're drying. And of course, I now have lots of hand towels. Everybody can dry. And so those might not be the greatest examples for you, but there may be one or two things that you can do of just replacing those single-use things and buying something different.
I love that because I'm guilty as charged when it comes to paper towels. Napkins and paper towels, I use them like they're going out of style. I don't know what's wrong with me. I need therapy along with the books.
I have a whole drawer of cloth napkins.
I do.
And yes. I go through cloth napkins a lot, but, it's part of the weekly laundry.
And you think that's something would rub on to me from my parents because that's what my parents used. For us, when we were growing up and we were sitting at the table, we had cloth napkins. Because, again, Greek people are not wasteful people. With a friend, we went to Greece maybe 10 years ago, and we were at McDonald's, and they gave us 1 napkin and 1 ketchup. And he looks at me and goes, what's going on here? Why are these people giving us 1 napkin? So we went to the front, and we said, can we have more like napkins? And the woman said, what do you mean? 1 is not enough? They looked at us like we're nuts. Like, why you want more than 1 napkin? What are you doing with a napkin? We're like, well, we want a bunch. He goes, why? Why do you want a bunch? And the woman is looking at us, and we're looking at her. And we're like, listen, we're from the United States. We want lots of napkins. He goes, and the woman is like, are you planning to use them? Of course. I said, I don't know. I'm not going to count them. So what I'm saying is it's the society of waste. We have to cut waste. What Cheryl and Rachel are talking about is using alternative. For me, I'm in the cleaning business, and I always recommend, because we buy bulk. And because we have a plastics problems here, I recommend that people buy bulk. You're listening to Keep It Clean for Happier You podcast. To listen anytime, go to dirtdirtgoaway.com. Also, you can live stream online at radio1400.am every Saturday. Get natural cleaners, like, for example, I know it kind of sounds like we're going backwards, but you can wash your floor and you can take care of everything with distilled vinegar instead of buying chemicals, and buy bulk. This way you can reuse them and not to throw away the bottles and the spray bottles once they finish.
That's how I do it too. I can tell you the one thing that I did. July is no plastic month.
Oh, really?
So last year, I went with laundry strips.
Oh, and I heard about those.
I think I bought like 3 different brands because I wanted to try them out. And they've pretty much all worked. And it's really fascinating. It took a while for my husband. He's like, where's the laundry? I'm like, it's in this little box in front of you. He's like, but I'm looking for the bottle. Well, we're not buying those anymore. So, we all have our ways. I, too, need to keep, you just do one step at a time.
Yeah.
Going back to the idea of refilling containers. So, my husband and I, we keep containers, especially interesting ones, like from barbecue sauce. Those are really cool glass bottles. And then you know what we fill them with? We fill them with our laundry detergent. So we go to the Willimantic Co-op, and they sell a bunch of different things in bulk, including laundry detergent.
And also, I think it's in Manchester, and Yasmin is her name. She has an eco-friendly store that you bring your bottle, and you fill it with shampoo and conditioner and detergent.
Well, I know there's a zero waste store in Newtown.
Yeah.
And then I think there's one in Middletown.
I think maybe Middletown.
Oh, maybe Middletown.
Yeah, I
can't remember the name.
Sorry.
But there are a couple of zero waste stores. I, too, have never been to them.
Yeah.
I just don't drive around enough.
Yeah, same.
We could have a party and look at all the zero waste stores.
No, but I think it's a good idea because the concept is very useful and very powerful, because this way, when I had a conversation with Yasmin, and she said, I always love to talk about what I'm doing. And I told her, I said, you're very far from me to visit, because I think she's Middletown. Cheryl, I think you're right. Not Manchester. Somehow I confused the 2 towns.
It's the M's. When you're not from Connecticut, there's just too many towns with M.
There are. There really are.
But it matters that we make an effort, because it's one thing Cheryl said that is so convenient for me, and I'm guilty with the paper plates and parties because I'm too lazy. I don't have a dishwasher in my kitchen, so the last thing I want to do is wash dishes when I have a party. I just have paper plates, even the forks and the spoons are all. And now I'm considering changing my behavior, because unless you change your behavior, nothing will happen.
And see, a party pack is nice. You don't put it with your other dishes.
It's just so, therefore you can have a Greek party and Opa and break dishes and not feel guilty about it.
There you go.
Opa. Because you know how Greek people, there's a party and they start breaking dishes. So this can be like, eat your food and then break the dishes. I'm kidding about this, because we're talking about how to save money and reduce waste.
So if you break your dishes, you can then use them in sculpture, because there's lots of creative reuse opportunities you can use for trash.
There you go.
There you go.
But I want, both of you ladies are into recycling and into food waste, and how apparently yours Rachel, in the city, in the town of Manchester, you guys have curbside. Let's say I want to do food waste. Concerning specifically about the town of Manchester, how do I call you? Do I say, you know what, I decided I'm not going to throw my food in the garbage. I want you to come pick it up. How does that work?
So our program is unique in that we don't have curbside collection. We decided instead to have drop-off stations throughout town.
Okay.
So we're trying to make them close to the residents to make it easier, but we're also trying to make it an economical program, because if we picked it up at every household, we serve, I believe it's 14,000 households.
Oh, wow.
We would need a whole nother collection route for that, which has its own carbon footprint and is a substantial cost. So right now, we are testing out doing drop-off stations. We have 4 that make what I like to call the food waste diamond, because there's one at the north end of town, the south end of town, east and west. They're accessible 24/7. But you need to unlock them using an app on your phone. So in order to get access through the app, you've got to sign up for your recycling permit at our sanitation office, which is free to all residents.
Okay, so you have to sign up to use the facilities.
Yes. And when you sign up, you get a free food scrap pail to transport your food waste. And as part of the pilot, we are also giving away free compostable bags.
So that I understand. If you get the pail, you have to be going there at certain hours when the office is open, no?
You can drop off food scraps. I know. You can drop off food scraps at the transfer station, and you would have to do that during our office hours. And when you sign up, you would also need to do that during our office hours. But these units,
9 to 5?
They are 7:30 to 2:30 Tuesday through Saturday. So they're sort of interesting hours. You can go. If you're a normal 9 to 5 work day, you might be able to go before work, or you can go in on Saturday.
So explain what these containers are in your diamond.
Yes, in my diamond. So these are metal enclosures, and inside is the same kind of trash cart that you put your trash in at the curb. And they're just open inside of the metal enclosure. And when you open up your app on your phone and unlock the bin, what it does is it allows you to open the lid on top.
Do you have to pay for this?
No, you don't have to pay for anything.
What about the pail? Do you have to pay for the pail?
No, the pail is provided to residents as part of the program. So
it's quite an investment that you're making.
It seems like quite the investment, but it's still substantially cheaper than paying to have a hauler go around to every single home. And what's really neat about these units is once you unlock them, there's a foot pedal. And you use the foot pedal to open the lid. So that way you have both hands free to dump your food waste in.
That's wonderful, because this way you don't even dirty your hands, Cheryl. You know, like if you use your foot pedal, this way you're just away from it and you have access to just throw it.
And this way you can empty your food scraps whenever you want. So if, it's the height of summer, things are getting smelly, you just want it to go away, you don't have to wait for the next weekly collection. You can go to any food scrap drop-off unit and get rid of your food when you want to.
So you can go at like 2 a.m?
Yes, you can go any time of day. They're
4
accessible
a.m.
24/7.
And what's fascinating is Manchester is really leading the pack. There are a number of other communities that are looking at this. Stamford is one, New Haven is one, and I think the Housatonic Resource Recovery area. So it's like Fairfield and part of Litchfield, but they haven't started yet. And so your audience is hearing about a new trend and a new thing that Manchester's leading.
I have a question for both of you, involving businesses. How do you involve businesses in recycling and food waste, if at all they're involved? Cheryl, Rachel, whichever. Cheryl?
All right, so this is when I put on my regulatory hat. As I mentioned, recycling is mandatory in Connecticut and has been since 1991. And while I'm paraphrasing a little bit, the law says everyone must recycle. It doesn't call out like, and these types of businesses or these types of individuals or these types of buildings. It says everyone must recycle. So the interpretation is that includes people in their homes and their community, the buildings of religious buildings or schools or municipalities. It includes all types of businesses. So businesses that generate sort of the single stream or mixed recycling materials should be recovering them for recycling. That includes their cardboard. And a lot of food waste generators or businesses that generate food scraps are also required to collect their food scraps if they generate 26 tons or more a year.
That's for businesses?
That's for businesses. And so if they generate 26 tons or more, which would include everything from grocery stores to banquet halls to universities, they are required by law to collect that food scraps for composting. And that means they can go to an authorized facility that is doing aerobic composting or anaerobic digestion, like what Rachel has talked about earlier. And so in addition to that, to try to reduce the amount of food waste that a business might generate, they could also learn about how to reduce their waste in their business, not only reducing the amount of food scraps, but they could also donate their surplus food. And so there's a huge food recovery movement happening in Connecticut as well.
I think that's so important, especially we have so much food insecurity.
That's right. It dovetails with food insecurity in that most of this food is going to people who are food insecure, and that's really important. It doesn't mean that this issue is going to solve hunger in Connecticut, but it does sort of alleviate and point out the amount of waste that we generate and how we need to redistribute our resources. And so businesses can definitely recover food, and it's not just baked goods. It could include trays of hot meals and pre-made sandwiches, etc.
And many thanks to our guests, Cheryl Baldwin and Rachel Schnabel. Join us next week as we continue our conversation with our guests. We came to the end of the show. Keep it clean for happier you. I'm your host, Nikki Tamboulidis. Together with my team, we're working on more exciting conversations on how each one of us can make a difference at home and on a global scale. Yes, we can. Bye for now.
At Keep It Clean for Happier You, we'd love to hear from you. For your comments and questions, use contact form at dirtdirtgoaway.com or text Nikki, text only, at 203-581-3446. That's 203-581-3446. We will be here every Saturday. Tune in to Keep It Clean for Happier You podcast. You can live stream online at radio1400.am every Saturday afternoon at 1 p.m. and listen anytime at dirtdirtgoaway.com.